Hey, sportsmen, students, hope y'all are doing well. Um, so we officially have left the first part of kind of the meat of the class. So we did terminology and body regions. I hope that all went well for you guys. I've been having some discussions with some students over email about like content and how it's coming across to you guys. I'm all for feedback, right? So if um, I found out through this process that I really depend a lot on in class interactions and conversations to deliver material, which makes sense. And being distant, it's kind of hard to do that. So if you guys have any feedback, maybe something you saw in another class or something that you think I could do better, maybe that could help other students, just let me know. Shoot me an email, all right? So now we're on to the skeleton. So with body regions, you guys already kind of learned a lot of this stuff, so a ton of this won't be new. And I'll have to admit, this is one of my favorite units. I've always loved the skeletal system, the physiology of it, the anatomy of it. I just enjoy it. And so we're going to focus on the anatomy of it. All right, so we're going to go through. You get to color your notes. Or if you're taking notes separately, which I suggest you do, you could color your notes and watch mine, press pause, and then color it and do it how you want to do it. All right, so the skeleton. So we're going to learn bones and bony landmarks. All right, and so we're first going to start with breaking down the skeleton. Does anybody know the total amount of bones we have in our body as mature adults? 206. Okay, total bones. We're born with more, but like 300 to 350, but then they fuse together as we get older. So now we're going to name it. So there's two divisions, right, that make up your skeleton. The first division is your axial division. All right, and it consists of three parts. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go through this. So we got one part here. We have one part here. Sorry, I have a couple dogs in here right now. And this. So we have, so this is your thorax. And that's your ribs and sternum. Only your ribs and sternum, right? Don't get it confused. Don't get it confused with thoracic region. And then this green part, all we're looking at is the spinal column. And then the red part, we all know, is your skull. Okay, so now you can do it however you want. I'm going to go ahead and color this in here. All right. So ribs and sternum. So this is the axial division of the skeleton. Consists of your consists of your spinal column, skull, and your thorax. Okay, and then the last part is so obviously there's vertebrae on your spinal column. So there we go. Okay, good. So that's the first division. So it's made up of three things. So your skull, thorax, and spinal column. They all make up your axial division. Okay, good. Next we have, I did not erase this. All right, so we have your appendicular division. Okay, this is the second division. And that consists of two things, UE and LE. So what do you guys think that stands for? So your LE is your lower extremity. And then your UE is your upper extremity. There we go. Okay, so you have two divisions of the skeleton. You have your axial division, which makes up your skull, thorax, and spinal column, and you have 206 bones in your entire body. Then number 2, the second division, is your appendicular division, consisting of your upper and lower extremities. All right, I'm going to just erase this so that we could go through it together. What would that be? Okay, so the first division that we're going to dive into is the skull. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go through these bones that make up your skull. So we're not going to learn all of them. We're just going to learn the main ones. So you have these, you see these lines, right? The lines right there. So those are actually real, right? And those are lines where the different bones connect, the different skull bones connect, and those are called sutures. So those are the sutures where all the different skull bones connect, and we're going to go ahead and outline them so that we can differentiate between the different skull bones. All right, so first bone that we're going to talk about is, I guess, maybe the easier one. If you took psychology with Mr. Dineza, right, you'll know what these are called. So this is your frontal, because it coincides with the divisions of the brain, right? And then we got this big one, kind of on the superior lateral aspect of the skull, cranial bone. So this one right here is called your parietal. Good. And then the skull bone that's on the posterior inferior aspect, so it would be back here. So that one right there is called your occipital bone. Wow, way too big. And then you have inferior to your parietal bone. Let's see, what color should I do next? This one right here. So a lot of people get this confused because like people call a certain part of your head like the temple, but there is no temple. That's just like slang for nothing. This is your temporal bone. And your ear, so your ear is like right here, just so we have a reference. There is a bony landmark I want you to know on your temporal bone. It's right here. It's called your mastoid process. That's the first bony landmark that you'll learn. And then we have the last cranial bone that we're going to learn. It's right there, and it's called your sphenoid. So your sphenoid. All right, so there's the cranial bones right there that I want you to know. So you have your frontal, parietal, occipital, temporal, and then sphenoid. Okay. So they all play, a major role. I wanted to show you guys something about the sphenoid. It's from something else. So let's take off the muscles. Human Body Atlas app, so it's a pretty sweet app. So if we were to zoom in, so there's the all the cranial bones. So we tap on the sphenoid. There you go. So it looks like it's like, it's kind of a small bone, but actually if you start to look at it, so it's highlighted right now. Okay, so that's the bone. It actually goes all the way through. It's like the base of the skull. So if we hide all the other ones, show fade others there. So look, there's the sphenoid right there. So that's kind of what it looks like. It's kind of crazy looking, right? It actually has a nickname. Its nickname, what do you guys think that looks like? If you said butterfly, You're right. So yeah, so that's the sphenoid, and they call it the butterfly bone. Right. So there that is. And here I just wanted to show you what it looks like from the posterior view. So here's occipital, and these two are the parietal. And then moving on to the facial bone. So let's go ahead and outline the sutures here. So we can go over these. I hope you guys are following along okay. Email me, give me some feedback if not. So here are the sutures here, so I'll get them a little bolder so you can see. Missed one. So let's start first maybe with the easiest bone, that one right there. What do we got there? Nasal. And then we have the bones surrounding the nasal, kind of like some people might call it your upper jaw. It's not, I guess it's your jaw in the fact that it like holds your teeth, but your jaw bones is your mandible, and then actually your temporal bone. I'll show you. All right, so this one here though, your red one, is called your maxilla. And then you have your cheekbones. These ones right here. These are your zygomatic. Your zygomatic bones. So you have your nasal, maxilla, zygomatic, and now the biggest one, pretty strong bone, actually. Some people, it seems that some people that haven't taken this before know this. This one is your mandible. Okay, so there's your facial bones. So this page is a page for you to review. So if you want to go ahead and go through it, you could review. Just wanted to show you. So this is your mandible, right? And this is your temporal bone. And this is where you're actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of TMJ, but temporal mandibular joint dysfunction. That's what that stands for. All right. So those are the cranial and facial bones. And actually, I've always told people not to copy and paste, but I think I might copy and paste this just for the sake of getting it on there. Copy. Let's see how this goes. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, no. Didn't work as well. Let's see. Okay, there you go. And then, then you could go ahead and go through and do, right, so maxilla, zygomatic, mandible, and then don't forget about the nasal. All right. Oh, and something a little extra credit. This right here. So just a little extra credit. This is called your hyoid. And this bone is checked in autopsies because if strangulation maybe was a cause of the death, that could be broken during, I've never wrote this down, strangulation. But yeah, so if you want to strangle somebody, just go a little bit lower, right, on their cervical region. Just joking. All right, so now moving on. So cervical region, so this is the spinal column, okay? So you have 32 to 33 vertebrae in your spinal column. So let's just go through. So this isn't anything new. This is going to be kind of a review for you guys. So the first 7 are your cervical. The next 12 are your thoracic. The last 5, not the last 5, but the next 5 are your lumbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. And then you have your sacrum. So your sacrum, it's not quite your tailbone. The next one we're going to talk about your tailbone. So there's your sacrum. And so now look, that's still made up of vertebrae. They're just fused, and it's 5 fused vertebrae in your sacrum. And then you have your coccyx, which is this little guy right there. Okay, same thing, made up of vertebrae. They're just fused, right? 3 to 4 fused vertebrae. Okay. So this is your spinal column: cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacrum 5 fused vertebrae, and coccyx 3 to 4 fused vertebrae. And again, this isn't anything new. You guys learned this in body regions. Okay, something that is new is right here. So, so this is this guy right here is your C1, your cervical. So every vertebrae has a number, right? So this is C1, C2, C3, all the way to C7. And then after C7, there's T1 and so on. So all vertebrae have a number, but your C1 and C2 are special, right? So they have special numbers. So this isn't your C1. This is your C2. This is your C1. Cervical vertebrae number 1 is atlas. Cervical vertebrae number 2 is axis, and then your dens, part of your C2, this is where they articulate. And that joint is so important. That's where we have all that range of motion in our neck. And also that's the part where, if you were to fracture that and sever your spinal column, you'd be a quadriplegic, right? So super, super important. All right, so we kind of went through that pretty quick. Go ahead and, press pause when you need to and take a look at that and copy these notes down for yourself. Again, I hope you guys are all doing well, and let me know if you need anything. Talk to you later.